Yeah.
Look at the title. Look at it. Look at it. Impact Diaries, Trey Miguel. Now, I've seen the Impact Diaries. I originally saw Jordan Grace. I have seen Gazelle Shaw. I've seen Trey Miguel. And I've only seen part of Rosemary. But I thought I would do the Trey Miguel first. Because I thought all of them are just as important. But I thought maybe I should do some with Trey Miguel. Now, Trey Miguel has busted his ass for Impact Wrestling. And literally at this point has turned his character around, which was totally finished as a face. It was getting stale. I was getting bored. And he flipped that sucker over on his side and stuck that sumbitch up somewhere. And he has become so new, so established now that I'm saying, and I've said this multiple times in my Impact reviews, that Trey could drop the title now from the X Division and move into the main event. That is how far he's expanded himself. That the attitude is there. The persona is there. His ring work is there. His mic skills are there. He's ready now to move to the main event and work with the main eventers. Like Steve Macklin, like Rich Swann, like, well, Kaz. Anyone that's currently working in the main event, he could stay in the main event and leave the X Division behind for a little while. That is the reason why I said that he is ready. But I wanted to know more about Trey. Now, I've never looked into the past of Trey. Now, when you hear the name Miguel, you're going like, well, you know, he could be part Spanish. Now, I don't know if he is, but I think his mother's white. From his diary, his mother was white and his father's black. I didn't know he was part black, like myself. I'm part black. And it gets interesting with his life because if I'm going to probably leave a link to the diary itself. But when you look at it, hearing that Trey Miguel from the beginning of his life, his father is one that took care of him and his brother and I believe his sister. And his mother, right after his birth, went straight to prison because she did something wrong. I don't know what it was, but she went straight to prison. And the first years of his life, he didn't even know who she was because she wasn't there. I think by the time he was, 5 or 6 or whatever, what was it, 5 or 6? When about a month after he was born or something, she breaks the law, I think breaks the law, and goes to jail. He didn't know her when he was growing up. Later in life he did. And then worse yet, where the area he's living in, which is so dangerous, he was terrified that his father might not come home. Eventually, his brother dies, where he's always worried about his father. His brother is killed, probably from a shooting like that. And I can understand that. Look, I don't hide the fact I live in New York. This is where I was born. Have I seen shootings while growing up? I've seen people shot almost not with a gun, but I have gone to the hospital. I've seen shootings when I went to the hospital because of my mother or another relative. I've seen people with gunshot wounds in the hospital. And as an adult, twice I met a gang that stabbed someone up against a car that my ex-wife's mother was driving, and met that same gang again, and I thought they were going to attack me as I was just coming home from work, as I'm passing them going across a bridge. So I can understand the danger of it. I've known people who live in this area years ago that they caused trouble, and living with some of the gangs that are nearby, I've seen 2 shootings across the street. I knew one of those people who got shot that same day that I saw them after so many years and went away and came back after making trouble or getting in trouble. They were supposed to leave and never come back. They came back to visit, saw them like a day or 2 before, and then get shot in that night. And another person I'd heard about, but they got shot. Never knew them, but I knew that they lived across the street and they got shot. So it's not something I'm not unfamiliar with. I live in an area that's not exactly safe, even with the police nearby. So I can identify with Trey being so hurt that he's terrified for his father whenever he had to go to work and is going out. The terror of thinking he's going to die in the streets from a shooting, that his own brother dies from it. Broke his heart. But the thing that helped him to escape was wrestling. And he chose when he went to high school, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. Basically, he never finished high school. He went straight into pro wrestling and eventually went into, well, he basically went through the system. I believe he went to Con Air. That is the wrestling school of Scott D'Amore. And then, no, I take that back. He didn't go through there. But he did go through other promotions until he had his shot at showing himself in Impact and joined Impact. And then went into the Rascals with Wentz and Desmond Xavier. And managed to do some crazy stuff, as you already know. But he did make it very clear that when it was time for both of them to leave, when Wentz and Desmond left, it was terrifying for him because he was so used to working with them. And he worked hard to try and prove himself that he's worth the effort of letting him stay on the roster and winning the X Division. This is where it gets interesting. We all know that wrestlers have problems with mental health. And when you see Rosemary, if you go and watch the Diary of Rosemary, Trey's got the same problem. He's got depression, and I believe with anxiety or just depression. And as you know, I have depression and anxiety, mild depression and anxiety, which has been elevated because of COVID-19, which did happen. But essentially, it's been hard for him, particularly trying to improve himself, that he said literally in his own diary that he was ready to quit. He was done. There was nothing keeping him there, except for one person, Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley, who has suffered as well through depression, who did talk in his diary, made it really clear, let me help you. Let me help you train some more. Because he's already been trained, but he thought he could learn a little bit more from Alex Shelley. And Alex opened up to him and helped him to deal with the pain of any type of trauma he had and depression or mental health problems. And you could tell from Alex Shelley that this meant a lot to him. He actually got very emotional like Trey did. Because when Trey talked about his brother dying, that he was terrified about his father probably dying, probably from from related violence from guns. His own brother died. You see the same thing when it came to Alex Shelley, but this was about making sure that he doesn't suffer like he did through depression. And that's a great thing to see. It's a wonderful thing to see that wrestlers now, because back then, let's be honest, I'll be 52 this year. Wrestlers back in the 60s, 70s, or even 80s would not do stuff like that. What would they do? They drown their problems in liquor or drugs. Counting on if they have problems. A lot of times they would just drink, smoke, or do drugs because it's popular and it's fun. But others did it just to numb out the pain of whatever problems they have. And literally, when it came to Trey, they haven't said that he did that. Trey never said that he was in drug problems. So I'm hoping not. He does vape. It looks like he does do vaping. But seeing that he and his father has a very close relationship means a lot. It's a special thing to see a father with a son. Now, unfortunately for me, in both cases of my life, I don't have that. My own biological father never gave a damn. Didn't. It was just, didn't matter to him. My own mother and father, they were never married. He was married to somebody else, at least until I believe she died, and then stayed with my mother finally. And when it comes to me and my own son, who is now 26 years old at this time, for him, unfortunately, the problems I had with his mother, and I'm not saying I was perfect. I'm not. Look, I have depression and anxiety. I didn't realize how bad it was when I was with her. And she had her own mental issues as well. Both of us had mental issues, and we were not great for each other. That's the honesty of it. If she saw this, maybe she'd be honest about it and say, you know, he's right, or just fuck you. You know, this is all your fault. Maybe that'll be her, and that's her prerogative. But in my perspective, we both were just not good for each other. And we both tried, and it didn't work. And unfortunately, my son suffered from that. And for me personally, I just didn't want, next to all the problems I was having with work, with debt, and with my own depression and anxiety, I wasn't around for him. But when I was, I always told him I loved him. And always told him I was proud of him. And if you ever had problems, talk to somebody. That's the best I could do. So for me personally, I just didn't have it either way. But with Trey, who, as far as we know, doesn't have any children, at least he does have that connection with his sister and his father. He didn't say much about his sister. I believe he does have a sister. But he really has a close connection to his father, which is a very special thing that not many people have these days. Trey is not even over 30. I believe he's like 28 years old or 29. And I'm hoping that continues, that he keeps working on himself and not let his depression or anxiety or both get the better of him, that he continues to grow as a person. That's what I want. And if you want to know more about what's going on, I will leave the diary connected below. I don't know if you'll like it, but it'll be up to you. But this is just me, and I hope you enjoy the Impact Diary review of Trey Miguel. Please give me a comment below. I do not know if I do another one of this. If you want me to do another one, I could do another one. Maybe Rosemary, Gazelle Shaw. I already seen, this ones I've seen. I've seen Gunjer. I've seen Rosemary. A little bit. I didn't see all of it. I saw Jordan Grace. I saw Gazelle Shaw. Now, if you want me to do a review of one, I'll have to review it again because I haven't seen them in a while. So I'll have to see it again just to refresh myself, and then I would do a review of it. But that's just me. You guys tell me below. Peace.